have you ever started perennial seeds and they just didn't grow? And you're like, there's a problem with this. What did we do wrong? What the seeds are bad? What's going on? Or it may be native seed that you've collected that you can find in your own backyard or in a field. And there are some problems not problems. There are some issues that you need to overcome if you're going to start that seed at home in your own garden. So if we don't follow nature in the way that we prepare those seeds, they're not going to germinate because they don't know it's ready. It's time for them to germinate and start to grow. I do have a little, that's a trillium flower in the opening slide that grows in my backyard. So I'm pretty happy about that. I think that's the wake robin. So what we're going to really talk about today is stratification. So as you can see, that it's a process of exposing those seeds to cold and moist conditions to encourage them to germinate. We hope that kind of gets them going. In nature, it happens naturally when seeds fall to the ground. They overwinter, usually beneath snow, or they fall in between the cracks of the leaves, and they're sitting there, but they get some chilling hours, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about. So they need and I will tell you that generally the chilling hours are from like 30 to 90 days. But it can be a lot shorter or it can be a lot longer. And it really depends on the species that you're trying to grow. So there are some resources out there that we'll go through here in the rest of this presentation. So we've got immature embryos that need that time to mature until they can germinate. And then the other reason is that sometimes they have a chemical that will keep them from germinating until that chilling requirement is kept. So again, going back to the maple tree analogy, silver maples will put on their seeds and they helicopter down to the ground, and where they fall, boom, they will germinate. They're ready to go. They get their big leaves out really quickly, and then you have to pull up 1,000 little seedlings. On the other hand, red maples drop their seeds in the fall, and they have a chemical in them that keeps them from germinating right away until they go through the winter. And it's just a protection on that seed that so they know when to germinate. It's more chemical than actual brain knowledge there. So we're going to kind of go through some common varieties of seeds that need a chilling requirement. And you'll notice most of these seeds are native prairie wildflowers that we like to grow. Milkweed is one of them. We can't really grow lupins very well, but we can grow some of the larkspurs that remind us of lupins. St. John's worts, coneflowers, the marsh marigolds, the perennial sunflowers, which are fun because they get ginormous. Primrose, shooting star, false sunflower, lavender, and ironweed, which you can see that it's that big purple flower that you see in some of the fields later in the fall. So these all need stratification, which is that cold, moist, chilling requirement. So let's go through. So some of the materials that you're going to need your seeds. I thought that was pretty obvious. Vermiculite or peat moss would work. You need some paper towels, some water, zip top bags, a Sharpie, or something to label your bags with. You don't really need a mixing bowl. You can mix it in a bowl. And then you need a refrigerator. This is one way to do it. You can literally plant them in a pot in the fall, put your seeds on the top, put a little vermiculite on the top of that, and just leave them outside. And they will go through their chilling period and be fine that way too. But if you want to kind of cheat a little bit and kind of I like a little insurance. This is my insurance because I do both methods. I'll put them outside in a pot that I know where I've put, and I usually label the pot. And then I use this one as a backup in case the one thing fails. So what you're going to do is in a medium bowl, and I'll show you this bowl here when we stop sharing. It's not very big. It's a candy bowl from the dollar store. Just to add a little bit of vermiculite and dampen. I try to put twice as much vermiculite as I have volume of seed. So you don't need a lot. And then add your seed to the mix, and you're going to kind of make sure that it's nice and moist and damp. It doesn't have to be sopping wet. It just needs to be damp, because you're going to check this throughout the chilling process. So then you're going to place that mixture. You can use sand, but peat moss or vermiculite works well, in a zip top bag, and you're going to seal it. And then write on there what you put in there, and then you can write the date. Now, I did not write the date on this bag because I did it 2 days ago. And that actually doesn't have any seeds in it, so shh, don't tell anybody. It was a demo. So label the bag with it, has it on there, and then you're going to put it into your crisper drawer, or your limper drawer is what I call it, because nothing ever gets more crisp in there. So you're going to place that in the refrigerator for at least a month, 30 days. And as you can see on this bag, I told you what it was. I have 30 days on there, and I wrote it up in the corner because sometimes I don't look down enough when I flip through them to see when I need to pull them out. But it can be up to 90 or sometimes even 120 days. So check on them about every 2 weeks. And if they start to sprout in the bag, go ahead and remove them and start planting them. Or you can put them in pots in your lighted seed starting set, or you can do it in your kitchen window. But once they start to germinate in the bag, they're ready to come out. You can also use a little paper towel. I would be careful about the paper towel and not put your seeds in between the paper towels, because they are usually lined with a plastic material that the wood fiber is attached to, and sometimes those seeds cannot poke through that very thin plastic membrane in between the paper towels. So I always put these are just sitting right on the top. I sprayed it down with a little bit of water, sprinkled my seeds on there, and put those in the refrigerator for 30 days. The one thing I will give you a tip on is to write the planting date in your calendar. And it can be on the wall, it can be on your family calendar, you can put it in your phone. But as long as you know when to plant, at least past that 30, 60, 90 day mark, you are really going to be able to remember to plant that. Because I don't know about you, but I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, or I always write things down because I'm going to forget. I have that kind of brain. So write it on the calendar, make yourself a note, and so that you know when to take those out. Now, if it's not, I will say it is not too late if you have some seed that you think may be a little bit that you want to plant out this year. If you do it from now, you're going to plant it out in the middle of June. You can plant things out until about the middle of July, 1st of August, and it'll still be okay going into the winter for some of those perennials for that. But when your time is up, you get to plant them however you want to plant them. You can, if it's time to plant them outside, plant them outside. If it's time to plant them and put them underneath your grow lights, that would be okay too, but you need to plant them out. They will hold for quite a little bit of time, especially if you forget that you've got them in there, but you should be checking them every week to 2 weeks to make sure that that medium still is moist. Even in our refrigerators, it tends to desiccate through the plastic, so you might lose some moisture. And if you've got a little bit of condensation on there, just kind of rubbing the plastic against whatever media you have, whether it be a paper towel or vermiculite, will do the trick, and it will kind of reabsorb. But if it's really dry, you may need to open it up and spray some more water in there, just a little bit. We don't want, water hanging out at the bottom of the bag for that. So when it's time to plant, it's really easy. You can sow those seeds just like you would a vegetable seed or an annual seed for that. And I usually use a flat like this and just kind of mark them in rows. Sometimes I put the little bag over the stick so I know what it is, but most of the time I write it on a little tag. I use popsicle sticks because they're easy with pencil. But you just start those just like you do your vegetable seeds. Once they get a little bit taller, maybe when they get a couple true leaves on there, you can transplant them out of this into a bigger pot. I still use cell packs. I use like a 4-inch cell pack to plant them into, a couple of seedlings in each pot, and you should be good to go. And you would just use those like you would any other vegetable seed or any other seed that you've started in your grow lab or in your garden.